Hello, my lovelies. Welcome back. Tonight we are going to be reading Chapter 19 of the Double Trouble Society. We are almost done with this book, and I am so excited. It's really getting good. So tonight's Chapter 19 is The Moon Appears. Amethyst flew as fast as she could through the dark autumn night. The higher she got, the more her heart began to race as she scanned the sky for the full moon. She knew her sister was waiting for the moment when she could make the biggest spectacle, inflict the most damage, and terrorize everyone completely. And Emerald would surely know from her messenger crows that everyone would be gathered in the square for the festival. So Amethyst knew that that's when she would strike. The blue moon hadn't appeared yet, which meant she still had time, but not much. The air suddenly became thick with black smoke and an earthy smell that Amethyst knew was the scent of her sister's magic. Her own magic smelled of sugar and fruit. Silly magic, she thought. Her sister had always been able to cast spells with strength and might, while she was stuck bewitching household items to bake cakes and biscuits or making potions to help injured squirrels and other wildlife. Emerald had always teased Amethyst about this when they were children, though that didn't stop her from eating all the goodies. Now Amethyst's magic needed to do something truly powerful. Hopefully a third of it would be enough, and if not, she trusted Maggie and Ivy to come through when she needed them most. Amethyst landed directly on the flat surface of the mountain. She looked at the jagged stones and boulders that were left behind where the peak of the mountain used to be, before the Crowwood Witch had split it with her magic and sent it hurtling towards the village below. It was desolate and bleak, and left Amethyst feeling cold all the way through to her bones. The kind of cold that doesn't leave for a long time, even after you should have warmed up. That was the effect her sister had now that her soul was almost entirely wicked, and Amethyst was yet to come face to face with her. But when Emerald did appear, Amethyst was shocked by what she saw. Well, well, well. Come to learn some proper magic from a proper witch, sister? Emerald asked. Her words were cruel, but she didn't look nearly as fierce as she had when she burst through the roof of Hokum House. She looked completely drained of energy and magic. Amethyst glanced towards the great swirling smoke hurricane above them and wondered exactly what it was costing Emerald to keep the forgetting spell going for this long. Almost 2 days had passed since she had cast it. Amethyst's own magic had felt very weak, and she had only made the villagers forget a legend most people thought was a fairy tale anyway. Emerald's spell had made all of the adults in the village forget their own children. Years of special memories that were vivid and bright in everyone's mind, full of hope and love and joy. Trying to erase memories like that took seriously strong magic, and it was clearly taking a toll on Emerald. Emerald, it's time to stop. I don't believe you're entirely wicked, nor that you cannot resist the curse. You've simply forgot what it's like to be happy. But you're not alone now. I'm here. Amethyst took a tentative step towards her sister, broom still in hand. Emerald threw her head back and cackled up to the sky, and the clouds above them gave a low rumble in response. I know happiness, Emerald barked. It's this. Happiness is power, something you know nothing about. You have barely enough power to rid a hedgehog of fleas, and I can control an entire village. Not an entire village, Amethyst said. There are children down there who aren't affected by your magic, Emerald, and they won't let you take over the minds of their parents without a fight. Children? Emerald cackled once again, this time with her teeth bared. What on earth are a bunch of sniveling, snotty children going to do that could possibly stop me, the greatest and most powerful witch ever? As she picked her teeth with her long, claw-like nails, she pulled a small bone out, most likely from a rat or a mouse. Amethyst realized her sister wasn't going to shake off 300 years spent as a cat right away. Don't you remember what we were like as children, Emerald? Amethyst asked, trying to keep the desperation out of her voice. She knew her sister would see that as weakness. I don't even think I ever was a child. Not really. Emerald looked away from her sister, turning her attention back to the spell. but Amethyst was grateful that she was proving a distraction. Every second that Emerald wasn't pouring magic into the spell was a moment that gave Amethyst hope. Don't be silly, Emerald. Or in fact, do be silly. You were silly once. You used to play games and make faces and dream up stories, and it made us happy. Once upon a time, it made you happy. Once upon a time, you liked being my sister before the curse. You were always a thorn in my side, Emerald said quietly, barely audible over the roaring wind, and Amethyst took that as a sign that she didn't really mean it. Oh, don't you remember how much fun we used to have? No, Emerald lied. You do, I can see it in your eyes. Just take one flight with me, like old times. I'll even let you drive. Amethyst held out the broom to Emerald. What is that wretched little thing? Emerald sneered, but Amethyst could tell her voice was growing softer. Something one of the children made. Amethyst looked fondly at the broom, seeing all the love and care Jennifer had put into it. It's ghastly, Emerald tried to sneer, but her eyes were on the broom, following it wherever Amethyst moved it, transfixed. But it flies, Amethyst teased. For a moment, Emerald's eyes became round and soft, just like when they were children. But that was quickly replaced by a look of fierce rage. This is a trick, isn't it? She hissed, and pointed a bony finger towards the village. This is something you cooked up with those disgusting, putrid little pipsqueaks down there. No, Emerald. Amethyst tried to remain calm, but her nerves were on fire. Her whole body was tingling with the terror of what her sister might do next. It is, I can tell. You're trying to get me to look back on the good old days and remember when things used to be rosy so that they can be rosy once again. All because I'm more powerful now than you'll ever be. Isn't that it? Isn't it? You're jealous that you weren't the one chosen. Emerald spun around with the swish of her dress and began to walk away. What do you mean? Amethyst shivered as the temperature plummeted. The cold of the rock began between her feet seemed to penetrate her shoes and freeze her toes. You're furious that the curse wasn't passed to you, Emerald spat. But let me tell you, sister, you'd never be able to handle this. Every waking moment of my life is filled with fury, she screamed up to the stars, tears beginning to fall fast from her black eyes. I've never felt power like this. You're angry all the time, Emerald? It sounds exhausting and sad. Don't you ever just want to feel safe and loved? And weak? Love isn't weakness, Emerald. Don't you remember how strong we used to feel when we were together as a team? If that's true, then why didn't you come after me? Emerald asked, suddenly calmer and quieter. The question was like a punch to Amethyst's gut. What? Emerald? Amethyst was scared the thudding of her heart would cause an avalanche. It was beating so loudly. The day after our birthday, I woke up, and you were simply gone, vanished. Our parents told me they had sent you away to protect us all, and you had run. They said you didn't want to be found, and none of us knew where you had gone. It was months before I felt drawn here. If I had known that you'd come straight here, I would have raced here to be with you, helped rid you of that curse before it took hold of you. I would have followed you to the ends of the earth. Lies! Emerald threw her arms up to the sky and green lightning shot from her hands. The blast was so violent that Amethyst was knocked over and onto her back. As she dropped the broomstick, it rolled away towards Emerald and stopped at her feet. Her black eyes looked down, and a devious smile crawled across her lips. Emerald, no! Amethyst yelled, but it was too late. Emerald snatched up the broom and flew past Amethyst. She was so quick that Amethyst could do nothing but watch as Emerald became a speck in the distance, heading for the village below. Amethyst ran to the edge, watching the trail of black smoke zoom down towards the village square, which was brightly lit with hundreds of warm fairy lights. Amethyst could just hear the music from the band and the hum and the laughter of the unsuspecting people who were about to feel the wrath of her sister. She thought of the children standing together, waiting for her to come and save them, and how scared they would be when Emerald arrived without her. What would Emerald do if she didn't get there in time to stop her? Amethyst felt sick. Her magic was already weak. A flight down to the village would weaken her further. How would she protect the children of Crowwood Peak? She suddenly felt a light come upon her face, which soothed her so much that she closed her eyes and enjoyed the warmth for a moment. Then a feeling of calm came over her. When she opened her eyes, she cast her gaze up to the sky, where the moon was big and round, the 13th full moon, the blue moon. And that is the end of chapter 19. Come back for chapter 20 tomorrow night of the Double Trouble Society. Can't wait to see you. Sweet dreams.